Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I've done a sort of talking piece to camera, but I just had, a couple of people asking me about, essentially about fear and about how you cope with fear when you're doing something, that you might think is a little bit sketchy, or I might fall, or I might get hypothermia, or, I might drown. And people saying, well, I couldn't do that, and that would be too scary for me. And of course, there are plenty of people that do things giantly above and beyond anything that we do, professional outdoors athletes. And I'm sure that they have their own perspectives on fear. But I just wanted to go a little bit into how I feel about it. Obviously, fear is kind of a biological function. The function of fear is to make you avoid anything dangerous that might end up with you being killed or injured. And anytime you get into a situation where your mind or your previous experience, your memories, tells you that this could end in injury or death, you get the fear coming up. You get the fear coming up when you see someone sort of shadowy that might or might not be following you as you're walking home. I don't know if this is just, I'm sure that men must feel that too. I mean, men can easily be mugged or whatever. So, and you get the fear coming up when you are walking somewhere you don't know, even in the city, and you get lost and you think, how am I going to fix this? And especially in the age before, the internet being so prevalent, when you had to just go up and ask people, and that can be quite scary. And of course you get the fear coming up when you're hanging on to like a cliffside and there's quite a large drop below you. But for me, it's unusual, or maybe it's unusual, I feel it's unusual. I'm not really worried about not existing. I'm not really scared to not exist. Now, that's not to say I'm not scared of dying, the actual dying, but the world was just fine before me. And sad to say, I'm not changing the world in any huge way. I'm trying my best, to make a life that will help people as much as they can be helped. I'm trying my best to learn and grow and all that sort of thing that people should try and do throughout their lives. But I don't think that much would change if I didn't exist. So there's not that fear that what will happen to insert something here, this, if I die. Not much will happen. So I know that when you're in a dangerous situation, fear will just come up, and you can't decide, right, now I'm going to put this belief in place that it won't make too much of a difference whether I live or whether I die, and I will just not be frightened. Of course, your body's like, I beg to differ, bitch. You're going to be frightened. Here you go. And it throws this huge lump of fear at you. And the next thing to be really, really determined to do is to not give in to your fear. So if you're doing something that could potentially be dangerous, I'm going to say that there are very few situations in which either panicking or just completely freezing up, for example getting crag fast, are going to help you out of that situation. So you need to do something to help yourself out of the situation. This is why self-rescue is such a positive term when people get into trouble in the outdoors. The people that have the will and determination to essentially self-rescue even after others feel that the risk is too great for other people to go and rescue them, or that they're perhaps beyond help. There are amazing stories of people that have just pushed through their fear of death and decided that they're not going to accept it. There's actually a very good video, and I will try and find it to insert it, somebody that is diving in a cave, and they lost the way to the exit, and they essentially are almost out of air, and they swim into this tiny little cavern, and then their air is and now they're holding their breath, their air is gone. So that would be the point, that you could just panic and die. But this person didn't. They did a quick about turn, rushed through, tried another. They used the whole of their breath to try and live, and they actually did manage to find the exit and get out. As to whether that video is real or fake, I don't know. It looks pretty real, and it's pretty impressive and pretty amazing. So that kind of determination to not let your fear take over you is something that I really advocate, and I think that I haven't had many situations where it's completely panic overstricken me, and because I mean obviously there is no point to panic. The point of panic is if you panic you're probably going to die if you're in a dangerous enough situation. I mean if you panic whilst you're diving, for example, the example I just gave, and something's going wrong and you panic, that is the end of it. And there, you know, if you become crag fast, or you know you completely freeze up during a situation, an outdoor situation which has become dangerous, then you're also going to. And I think that that's easier to manage than trying not to have fear come up in yourself at all, because you know that it's a kind of a biological impediment, but you know that the fear is going to come up in you, but you can deal with it. You can say no, panic, no, freezing up, let's just deal with the situation. We can have a little freak out once we're out of it and be like, oh shit, like this is the shit that I was just in. And I would say that the other way that I mitigate fear is to make sure that when we're doing stuff, we are basically always doing it as safely as possible. So if we're using ropes, we're triple checking, getting the other person to check, making sure our equipment is suitable, making sure that we use local guides, making sure that we have a plan ourselves. I mean, what if our guide was to faint or become very ill? We need to know that we could get ourselves down and get them down as well, and have help. So we need to have, you know, the map, the compass. We need to have some local area knowledge. We need to have put in place a plan for, okay, we're going to get back to the lodge or wherever at this time, so that there's an alarm raised if we're not. We need to know the protocols for calling rescue services if needed, and we need to have a first aid kit and supplies and survival supplies with us. And we do all these things, and not just myself and the friends that I tend to go out with. We do all these things because obviously we want to do more and we want to see more adventure stuff, always. So I would never take such a risk that I think this could have been a good situation, this could have been a fun situation, if only I had taken this precaution, taken that precaution. So I would say that that's the other thing that's big for me in terms of managing my fear. Well, I mean, they say it's a cliche, obviously, but fail to prepare and prepare to fail. When you know you've prepared and you're doing everything you can to mitigate the risks, and you know you won't be as afraid during it. You know, if you're climbing a section of cliff and you're thinking, we really should have ropes, and you don't have ropes, then you know the fear is there because you know you haven't done everything you can to mitigate the risk. So I hope my sort of rambling discourse on the nature of fear, which had almost no structure to it at all, is mildly interesting to someone out there. I'd really like to hear how you guys deal with fear, any situations you've been in which you've thought, oh, this is sketchy, and how you dealt with it. And also any situations in which you or somebody else who you know, doesn't mind being mentioned for obvious reasons, has not dealt with fear well, in which you've panicked, you know, whether the situation's turned out well or whether it's turned out badly. I think it'd be really, really interesting to learn from that, and to learn how the emotions, fear, panic, or bravery you can call it, or overconfidence, all these types of emotions, how they can feed into the safety of what you're doing. And I would really like to hear more about that. So if you guys have any stories, please comment below, or comment where, if I've posted this somewhere. I would really love to hear, or even in a PM, you know. So it's always great to learn in that way. So thank you guys very much for watching my slightly rambly video. I hope you like my sidekicks. Perhaps you can see them here. I don't know why, I've just decided I needed sidekicks today. They probably won't return again. If you think my sidekicks should return, then comment owl. There's no reason for this at all. I just thought it would be funny. Bye for now.